Hello and welcome back everybody. Welcome to the video lecture series on microprocessors and microcontrollers. In our lecture number 28 today, we shall discuss about the interrupts of 8051 followed by the timers counters in 8051 and lastly the serial communication of 8051. Let us start. So before we jump into this today's topics, we shall have a brief recap about what all we have seen in the previous lecture. That was about the addressing modes in 8051 and instruction set in 8051, and obviously the memory organization of 8051. Let us have a brief recap about what all we have discussed in that lecture 27, the earlier lecture, and then let us continue with this timer interrupts, external hardware interrupts, serial communication interrupts, and after that the 8051 timer and counters, and finally the serial communication in 8051. So this is what we have seen in our last class, that is the memory organization in 8051. This is about the RAM in 8051, that is 128 byte of RAM we are having. Apart from that 128 byte of RAM, we have the special function registers which are assigned the addresses from 80H onwards till FFH. Many of them are there, the special function registers. So this is the 128 byte RAM structure. So you can see it starts at 00 and it is up to 7F, and the 80H address onwards we are having our special function registers. That is also I will show you. These are the special function registers in 8051. So here you can see the 80H is assigned to the port register of port 0, and so on. All different addresses, different special function registers are there here. So this ROM structure, how it is there in 8051, the basic 8051 has only a 4 kilobyte of flash ROM. That is here the addresses are assigned in this 0000H till 0FFH. So this 4 kilobytes of ROM is inbuilt available in 8051. Apart from this, all we can always have an external RAM or ROM interface with the 8051 system. That we shall see in our next unit. All the different interfacings, different input devices, different output devices, and memory interfacing with 8051 is what we will be going to discuss in the unit 3. This is stack. This particular area, the blue colored boundary here, it's a stack memory in the 8051. So on reset, we have seen that the stack pointer value will be 07. And when it is 07, it is starting at this particular point, that is a register bank 1, which is also is your stack memory in 8051. Next, we have seen this addressing modes of 8051. All these different addressing modes in detail we have seen. In comparative way, we have seen that how the immediate addressing mode was there in 8086 system and how it is there in a 8051 system. Register addressing modes in here, they are same in 8086 system, and here direct addressing mode is there, and here register indirect addressing mode. We have seen that in the for the direct addressing in 8051, you need not to put any square brackets around the number or the value which you want to indicate as an memory address. Instead, here in the immediate addressing mode in 8051, we have to put a hash symbol before a number of data such that we indicate that that is an immediate addressing mode. Here for the direct addressing mode, we do not keep any symbol or do not keep any square brackets. That will be the direct addressing modes, and the numbers will be considered as the memory addresses and not the data. For register indirect, we are saying that we store our memory address in any of the registers, and while using that one in the program instruction, we put an @ symbol before that register to indicate that that register contains a number which is actually a memory address. From there, the data has to be accessed. Indexed and register indexed addressing mode also we have discussed, where we have seen that how the effective address is partially stored in the register DTPR, sometimes in A register, and then how finally the effective address is calculated from there. Instruction set is what we have discussed after this. So instruction set of 8051. Many of them are very similar to the instructions of 8086 here. Sometimes some syntax are different in the representation of the 8051 assembly language programming instructions. So we have seen all these different groups of instructions here. Arithmetic group of instructions we have seen, logical group we have seen, data transfer group we have seen, Boolean variable manipulation group we have seen, and this is a specific type of instruction group in 8051 assembly language programming itself. That type of thing it is not there in 8086 assembly language programming or instruction set, because here 8051 is extensively Boolean. That means you can perform Boolean operations. A single bit set and a single bit clear type of instructions are very commonly used in 8051 assembly language programming. So this set is special and specific for 8051 systems here. And not only 8051 system, for all the microprocessors or control bits provides the bit manipulations operations. So that is a specific thing of here. And program branching instructions are the one which where we loop or we jump, our conditional or unconditional jump decisions are made. Okay, that is about this instruction set. So our today's topics, as I said, it will be interrupts in 8051, then will be timer counters in 8051, and finally the serial communication in 8051. We shall start that discussion by discussing the 8051 interrupts. So interrupt is what we have many times seen and we have understood that one very clearly while discussing our unit 1 interrupts in 8086. We have detailedly studied that. So every interrupt is associated with the interrupt service routine. And wherever the interrupt service routine addresses are stored, that particular area of the memory we call that as interrupt vector table. So here also we are having the vector table, the vector addresses of the interrupts are there. We shall see that one in some time. So what are the steps of executing this interrupt? We can see here upon the receiving the interrupt request or interrupt signal in the microcontroller system here. It finishes the current instructions and save the PC on the stack. The value of the PC is stored on the stack such that when it come back from the interrupt service routine execution, it can continue in the main program where it has left. It has to, after saving that the PC onto the stack, it jumps to the fixed location in the memory depending on the type of interrupt, and always it can be done with the help of a address which are vectored into the interrupt vector table. We shall see every interrupt specific address what they are. Okay, it starts the execution of the interrupt service routine until RETI instruction is formed, and RETI instruction we have studied earlier also. It is a return from interrupt instruction. On executing this, the processor or the controller will return back to the main program from the interrupt service routine. Upon executing RETI, the microcontroller returns to the place where it was interrupted in the main program and gets the PC value from the stack and continues the main program execution. Interrupt sources, what all the different interrupt sources are there. Earlier also you can see that in 8051 there are total 6 sources of interrupt, out of which 5 are vectored. What are these 6 sources of interrupt? You can see here. Reset is one of the sources. Obviously some consider this one also an interrupt type of interrupt, but reset can be kept aside from the interrupt also. Timer 0 overflow interrupt is there, timer 1 overflow interrupt is there, external interrupt 0, external interrupt 1, INT 0 bar, INT 1 bar, which are also available as a pins in 8051. In the port 3 special functions you can find them. Serial port events, that means buffer full, buffer empty, etc. That type of an interrupt is there, and that interrupt is given as a TI or RI, that means transmission interrupt or reception interrupt. So you can see there are 6 here, but the reset, as I said, it's not an interrupt, it's general reset here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 vectored interrupt, and 6 sources are there. 6 sources that here serial interrupt TI and RI. There are 2 sources of the interrupt. So here total 6 sources, and out of that one 5 are vectored. Here we shall see all the vector addresses of these interrupts also in some time. The enhanced versions of 8051 may even have the 22 sources of the interrupts. So, okay, more time and programmable counter array, ADCs, external interrupts, another serial port, extra serial port. It is 8051 contains only one UART port. The advanced versions will have an extra port also. So yeah, interrupt vectors. As I came about repeatedly telling about the interrupt vector. So interrupts are having their specific dedicated interrupt service routine. Interrupt service routines are stored somewhere in memory. So the location where they are stored, so that address is available dedicatedly like this here, and these are called as a interrupt vector and interrupt addresses. So for external interrupt 0, the address is 003H, and timer 0 overflow interrupt, the address is 00BH. Similarly, external interrupt 1, you can see that the address is 0013H, and timer 1 overflow interrupt is the address 001BH. Finally, serial interrupts TI and RI, either of that one, whenever it is sourced, it comes to the address 0023. So coming to this timer 2 overflow, it is available only in the higher versions, that is 8052, and the higher version than that type of an microcontrollers. And for that one, we will be having this timer 2 also. So timer 2 corresponding interrupt also will be there, and its vector address will be 002BH. But here in the conventional 8051, original 8051 microcontroller, we do not have a timer 2, only timer 0 and timer 1 are available. Next, interrupts. About the interrupts, these things already we have discussed well in the talking about the 8051 features also. 6 sources of the interrupts are there. Out of that one, 5 are vectored, about which I have just now spoken in the earlier slide also. Each interrupt can be individually programmable, and each interrupt can have 2 priority levels. They can be in priority level 0 or priority level 1. What these priority levels are there, that I will tell you. All the interrupts can be masked by a single bit. That is, if you want to mask all the interrupts bit together, there will be a particular bit EA. If by using that bit, you can do that one. And where this bit EA will be, that also we shall see now. External interrupt type can be programmed as whether they will be edge triggered type of interrupts or level triggered. That can be programmed. Okay. So let us see those in detail what they are. So talking about the EA particular pin, which is a global enable disable for the interrupts, that is available here in this particular IE register. If you remember, we have talked about the IE register here while discussing special function registers. IE and IP registers are the registers concerned with the interrupts of 8051. So IE register is interrupt enable register, and IP register is the interrupt priority register. That also we shall see in some time, but here this is the IE register, and here EA is a global interrupt enable disable. This second bit from this left hand side is not defined. EA2 is a timer to interrupt. Again, this will not be a not defined in 8051 conventional. The higher versions will be having a timer 2. So timer 2 and interrupt will be available at this point. Serial interrupt is next. Timer 1 interrupt is followed by that one. External interrupt 1 is then available, and external timer 0 interrupt is there, and finally external 0 interrupt will be here. Or actually saying from the LSB side onwards, when we see time, it will be external 0 interrupt, timer 0 interrupt, external 1 interrupt, timer 1 interrupt, serial interrupt, and lastly at the highest bit we will be having enable disable, that is EA bit. So here are the 2 registers I was talking about, the SFR related to the interrupts, that is IE register, the one available on the top, and then the IP register which is available in the bottom. Okay, the whole IE register already we have seen. The MSB bit is EA here, and here we are having this serial interrupt, timer 1 interrupt, external 1 interrupt, timer 0 interrupt, and external 0 interrupt. Okay, talking about the IP register, this is the IP register structure here. You can see here we are having from the LSB side, let us start. We can see that it is a PX0. It is the priority level for external 0 interrupt. You can put 0 or 1 here to make that particular interrupt to go in the level 0 of priority or level 1 of priority. Okay, timer 0 interrupt again can be configured at the lower level or higher level by putting 0 or 1 in this. Similarly, external interrupt 1, timer interrupt 1, serial interrupt. So here are the bits associated with the IP register, interrupt priority levels. Basically, all interrupts of 8051 you can put into 2 different levels of your interest. Level 0 and level 1. level 0 will be a more priority when compared to the level 1. So suppose I am having interest of keeping two of my interrupts in the higher priority level, I put the 0 in that one, and other three interrupts here, I do not want that one to be of that much high priority. I will put 1 such that they goes in the priority level 1. Priority level 0 is having more priority than the level 1. So individually these bits can be placed to 0 or 1 accordingly. Even you can see that serial interrupt specifically from where they arise, the source of it. The source of the serial interrupt arising is available here. You can check it out, the TA and RI bits SCON register. SCON register is serial control register. We shall see elaborated with that one later. But here, these two bits are the specific indicators for serial interrupt arising. Transmitter interrupt, transmission interrupt, or reception interrupt. Similarly, there are these 4 bits available in TCON. TCON register is 8-bit register. Half of this one will be having the control or indications of the interrupts, and another half of it will be having the control or indications of the timers. So here on this side of mine, you can check it out. These 4 bits IT0, IE0, IT1, IE1 are the interrupt related bits, and the other side here you can see here TR0, TF0, TR1, TF1. They are the timer related bits. About this timer related bits, we shall talk about while discussing the timers in this particular lecture. So generally the priority flow, the conventional priority from low to high are indicated here. So highest priority is given to your particularly external interrupt 0 is of highest priority, followed by that one will be the priority of your timer 0 interrupt. Next will be your external 1 interrupt will be having the priority. After that one, your timer 1 interrupt will be having the priority, and the least priority is being given to your RITI, that is serial interrupts. So these are the conventional priority. That means if all of your interrupts are placed in the same level of priority, earlier in IP register, as I said here, 0 level or 1 level. If you put all zeros or if you put all ones, that time then who will be having more priority? So the conventional priority is this particular thing, where here you can see the highest priority bit and there side will be your lowest priority bit. Highest priority bit is for your external interrupt 0, and the lowest priority is for your serial interrupt. About enabling and disabling of the particular interrupts softwarely, you can see that set bit can be used for particular bit enable to put 1 into that one. Okay. About the interrupt priorities, I have already told you. I have shown you that the flow also, which is having the highest priority. So here you can see that external interrupt is of the highest priority and the serial communication interrupt is of the lowest priority. IP register structure we have seen already. One example here it is shown that what happens when particular priority we change it. So here you see that IP register, this particular number I am loading into that one, it gives this priority listing like this. Why so? Because of the corresponding bit third from this right hand side, I am putting 1, that is corresponding to the PX1. External interrupt 1 I am putting as 1. So this makes that external interrupt 1 to go into the higher level of the priority. So when it is in higher level of priority, it goes here. Okay. Small correction here. Earlier I have said that the level 0 is of higher priority and level 1 is of lower priority. Here, whichever the bit you put it 1, that will be in the higher priority level, and whichever the bit is 0, that will be in the lower priority level. That can be easily understood from here. Okay, as you can see in another example, 2 of them I have put as 1 and 1. That is your external interrupt 1 and timer interrupt 1. Both of them I have made into the 1, the higher priority level. So these two now are coming as a external interrupt 1 as the highest priority, timer interrupt 1 as the next. Here you can see that they are following the conventional priority when there is an availability of 2 interrupts in the same level. So timer 1 interrupt and external 1 interrupt, both are in the higher priority level. But within that one, who comes first? That always it will be the conventional priority given to the external interrupt first. So in this case, this will be the first. Okay, it's furthermore about that thing we have already discussed about it. So these are the all sources of the interrupts here. And this is how the interrupt controlling will be done inside the 8051 controller, microcontroller. Now, this is an example program here you can see for understanding how the interrupts have been handled. So this program will be elaborated to you obviously when doing the practically while performing that experiments here. In this, for your understanding, I'll give you an understanding here that what happening actually is that we are trying to verify the interrupt handling, how exactly the interrupt have been handled here. So in this particular this example, what we are doing is that we are trying to run the timers accordingly, and if we meanwhile in the timer you get an interrupter, we are suggesting it that it has to go to the particular instructions move P0 comma A and move P2 comma B. So upon interrupt these two has to be executed. And interrupt we are triggering using our timer. Timer interrupt we are triggering, and accordingly when the timer interrupt is triggered, we are jumping to this particular ISR, and then after satisfying the ISR, we are executing these two. Again, so that means this program demonstrates that the program will accept the interrupt, executes the interrupt service routine, and come back to the main program and continue the execution of these two particular instructions afterwards. There is another program example also here. Okay, this particular example is there. Okay, so next is our 8051 timers and counters. So as earlier already discussed that here we are having two registers are there, each one of 16-bit size. Timer 0 is one called and another one is called as timer 1. So to control and to handle this particular timer 0 and timer 1, which can work as both as a timer or a counter, we have two registers specifically. The first of that one is T mod register. T mod register is this. Earlier we have seen T-con register already. So in T-con we have seen that 4 bits are dedicated towards the interrupt side and 4 bits are for controlling the timer side. So that 4 bits of the T-con we shall see. So that 4 bits of T-con we shall see after this. But earlier now we are seeing this particularly T-mod register, 8-bit register is there. Again here you can see when you closely look at the lower 4 bits are similar to the higher 4 bits. So basically lower 4 bits are associated with the controlling the mode of operation of timer 0, and the higher 4 bits are associated with the controlling the mode of operation of timer 1. So what are the bits are there? Total 4 bits are there, which are again similar in the timer 1 and timer 2 case. First bit is gate, second is T slash, that means C T bar, M1 M0. So out of this gate, so what exactly gate is here? Means a gate is bit here used for making the 8051 enable or disable the hardware signaling upon the external interrupt, whether for counting the timers or not. That means here for the running of timers, whether when the timer has to run and when to have to stop, that control we are providing to the external hardware pins if we make this gate bit as 1. If the gate bit is 0, the control is not on the hardware, only in the software you have to write set bit TR1 for running the timer 1, set bit TR0 for running the timer 0. Okay, but that is not the case when the gate bit is 1. When the gate bit is 1, even though you write the set bit TR1, the timer 1 will not start running unless you are having a high signal upon the external 0 interrupt and external 1 interrupt with the corresponding whether it is timer 0 or timer 1. So high signal on the interrupt plus set bit TR1 will make that particular timer 1 to run if the gate bit is 1. If the gate bit is 0, simple by writing set bit, it will be independent of what action you have taken upon the hardware. Whether high signal is there upon that interrupt pin or not, it doesn't matter. Second pin or option here is of C slash T bar. That is, here it is a selection between whether you want to make that timer work as a timer or as a counter. Getting it? So earlier I have told you about the what exactly the timer does and what exactly a counter does. So switching between whether you're working with that particular timer 0 or timer 1 as a counter or as a timer, that will be decided here. Obviously, if you put a 1 there, it works as a counter, and a 0 there will make that will work as a timer. Last two bit M0 and M1 are the mode select bit. So the timer 0 and as well as the timer 1, they run in different modes. So mode 0, mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. Mode listing is done here. What are the different modes? So 0, 0 in these two bits is mode 0, and mode 0 is called as 13-bit timer mode. Okay, 13-bit timer mode. That means, so here in this case, 13-bit, all if it is the size of that timer becomes 13-bit sized, and if it is reaching the maximum 13-bit number, it will overflow. Second mode here, that is your mode 1. Mode 1 for M10 and M0 as 1 is a 16-bit timer mode. Here the timer runs completely for the 16 bits, that means starting at the 0000H, it runs up to FFFFH. After that, it will overflow. Okay, the next mode here is mode 2. Mode 2 is called as 8-bit auto reload mode. Here the timer will be running as a only 8-bit timer, so it runs from 00 and reaches up to FF, and after that one it will overflow. But after overflowing, it can reload a new value associated, because of this it is called 8-bit auto reload. Once after overflow, it will reload with the new value whichever you require and where it has to start, and you can work with that. Last mode, mode 3, it is rarely used, and this particular mode is called as a split mode. Coming to the TCON register, earlier we have discussed about that particular 4 bits which are associated with the interrupts. Now we can talk about these 4 bits which are associated with the timers. They are very simple. Here also there are two set of bits. There is a TR and another is TF. TR is timer run. TF is timer overflow flag. So as there are two timers, timer 0 and timer 1, two corresponding bits are there for timer 0 and two of them such are there for timer 1. Here you see these two bits are time. If this bit is, you have to make it 1 to make your timer 0 run. So as soon as you make this particular one, your timer 0 will start running. It will start counting or running. TF0 is a flag. It shows you indication that whether your timer has reached the maximum value on overflow. Okay, the similar two bits are there for timer 1. Timer run for timer 1 and timer overflow flag for timer. They work exactly the same. Okay. What about this interrupt bits? Also they are indicated here. Serial interrupt, 1 edge flag. Okay, sorry, not serial, external interrupt 1 edge flag, external interrupt 1 type flag. Similarly, external interrupt 0 edge flag and external interrupt 0 type flag. Okay, about that the same bits are accommodated here. Can go through it. So these are the two registers which are associated to special function registers associated with the timer, that is TMOD and TCON. We have seen them already in detail, so let us move forward. So you can see that mode of working of timers. So timer 0 is there, timer 1 is there. Timer 0 can work in mode 0, 1, 2, 3, and timer 1 can work in mode 0, mode 1, and mode 2. It does not work in mode 3. There is one program here to verify whether the timers and the counters are working properly in the 8051 system. In this particular program, what we are trying to do is we are trying to take an input square wave from one of the timers, and we are using another timer to work as a timing bracketing. In that timing bracketing, how many square pulses are received at the other timer we are counting. So basically, one of the timers will be acting as a timer, another timer will be acting as a counter. One provides us the time window, and another provides us the counting of the serial square wave pulses given at the hardware. Serial communication in 8051. Here it's a UART, Universal Asynchronous Receive Transmit, and to control that one, there are the two specific special function registers associated with the serial communication, SCON and PCON. SCON has these all bits. Obviously, RI and TI are the least bits in that one. They are the interrupt flags for serial communication. Then it has a TB8, RB8. These two bits are actually the indication of the ninth bit communication in the transmission or reception type of a communication, whether you're transmitting the bit out or receiving the bit out. So while receiving, if you get the ninth bit, that will be stored in this RB8, and while transmitting, if you are transmitting the ninth bit, that will be stored in the TB8. REN, it is receive enable. This particular bit is used for enabling or disabling the reception of data communication on the serial port. So this bit you can use it for enabling or disabling of your receiving of the data communication on serial particular communication port. Then SM0, SM1, SM2 are the bits for handling or selecting the modes of the serial communication, which includes the baud rate selection. PCON, basically it's power control as the name suggests, but let me come to directly the particular bit which we are interested in here for serial communication, that is your SMOD. SMOD bit plays an important role in the mode 1 and mode 2 type of communications of serial communications, where what will be the baud rate of communication will be decided by this particular bit. Now coming to the other bits in this PCON, here as the name suggests power control, the bits associated in this one are also power related bits. So first LSB bit here, it is the ideal power. That means it shows the status of the 8051 when it is in ideal state. PD bit is a power down mode. Whenever the power of that particular device is on, the power down mode bit will become set. So it will be very useful in the cases of any closure task to be performed before the capacity power on the board also goes off. GF0 and GF1 are the two general purpose user definable flags. Okay, general purpose user definable flag. The user can define what particular action of the flag should be in the PCON register of these two bits. Other few more bits are beside that they are not assigned any particular task. So talking about that SMOD bit, I just not told you that it relates very well with the particular baud rate of the communication. Baud rate for SMOD 0 will be these. Okay, baud rate for the SMOD as 1 will be as this. Okay, and that time you have to take this timer 1 TH1 particular, that is the higher byte of timer 1. You have to put these values to select the corresponding baud rate. Different baud rates of working are indicated here. As per your wish, whichever the baud rate you want to work with, that particular corresponding bit you will take it. The ideal condition what we will be using in our programming will be that 9600 baud rate with SMOD as 0. So 9600 baud rate with SMOD as 0, you have to put -3 into the TH1. So -3 equivalent representation in hexadecimal is FD. Okay, -3, -3. 3 is 3 only, -3 is a complemented version of that thing. So complemented is FF -3. So we will get a FD. So FD has to be put into the TH1 part of the timer 1 register to select the baud rate as 9600. Lastly, before closing up, I want to show you the program for the serial communication operation in 8051. In this particular program, we are serially transmitting these particular characters onto the serial monitor, that is M followed by P, then M, then C. So MP, MC will be what we are transmitting onto the serial monitor, and here you carefully observe that the baud rate what you have selected will be your 9600 baud rate, and here as here you can see here TH1 is your hash -3. Okay, so -3 when the SMOD is 0, will set the baud rate as 9600. So that is all for today's lecture. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.